So you want to buy a container port. Most people think a port is public infrastructure. Concrete a government pours so the national economy can breathe. Sometimes that's true. The land, the water, the breakwater, those almost always belong to a state port authority. The cranes, the yard, the fees, and the billions that actually move through them usually do not. So 3 questions. Who owns the machine that lifts the box? What are the ships really paying for when they pay to dock? And why did a routine $6.8 billion purchase in February 2006 detonate inside the United States Congress? Start with the price of entry. Think of the whole thing as a toll booth. Hold that image. A toll booth bolted across a strait a ship cannot go around. The first cost is steel. A single modern ship-to-shore crane, the tall white gantry that reaches over the vessel, runs between $10 million and $15 million. A medium terminal needs 10 to 12 of them just to open the gate. 12 cranes at $12 million each is $144 million. That is before a meter of yard, before a single rubber-tired gantry, before the gate systems and the reefer racks and the dredging. Call the working terminal $1 billion of hardware sitting on land you do not own, which is the part people don't talk about. You are not buying the land. You are buying the right to operate on it, a concession from the Port Authority, typically 30 to 50 years, signed once, and effectively unbreakable. DP World, the Dubai state operator, spent $2.2 billion on its portfolio in a single year, 2024, and it does not own most of the ground under it. It owns the agreements. The agreements are the asset. At the top of the market, that's PSA International of Singapore, moving roughly 100 million containers a year across its network. DP World handled 88.3 million in 2024 across 78 countries. At the bottom, a single second-tier terminal concession in an emerging market can be had for the price of the cranes and a signature. The floor and the ceiling are buying the same thing, only the size of the strait changes. So the question becomes obvious. Why would anyone in their right mind sink $1 billion in steel onto land they can never own? The answer is simple. The ship has nowhere else to go. Here's how the money actually moves. The first stream is the lift itself. It's called the terminal handling charge, the fee to take one box off the vessel and put it on the ground. Roughly $150 to $300 per 20-foot equivalent unit per TEU. Sounds trivial. Now count the boxes. A mega ship arrives carrying 20,000 TEUs. At $200 a box, that single vessel owes $4 million in lifting fees for one call, a call that lasts about 48 hours. The ship cannot self-unload. There is no crane on Earth tall enough on board. Your cranes are the only cranes. $4 million, 2 days, one customer who cannot say no. That's the machine. The second stream is renting the water. Dockage or berth occupancy, you charge the vessel by length and by hour simply to touch the key. Wharfage, you charge the cargo by the ton for the privilege of crossing your apron. The ship is billed for existing at your dock and billed again for the goods passing over it. 2 meters, one vessel, both running. The third stream is the one that turns concrete into the highest yielding real estate on the planet. Storage. Every container gets a few free days in the yard. After that, the meter starts, and it climbs. This is the storage trap. The box that sits becomes a tenant that cannot leave, on ground you rent by the day. During the 2021 congestion, the numbers went vertical. According to the Container Exchange benchmark, the global average demurrage and detention charge 2 weeks after discharge rose from $586 in 2020 to $868 in 2021. At the Port of Long Beach in May 2022, that figure hit roughly $2,730 per container, per box, for sitting still. The U.S. Federal Maritime Commission found that 9 of the largest ocean carriers collected about $8.9 billion in these charges across 2020 to 2022, a parking lot for steel, priced like Manhattan. The fourth stream is quieter. Reefer power, refrigerated containers must be plugged in, and you sell the electricity at a markup per plug, per hour, for days. Then equipment leasing, gate fees, documentation fees, the security surcharge, none of it large alone. All of it flowing whether trade is booming or not, because the box has already arrived, and the box cannot move itself. Now the cost side. And here is the trap in the model. You cannot put a port on pause. The cranes need certified operators around the clock. The channel silts and must be dredged to depth, or the megaships stop coming and a ship that can't enter goes to a competitor's strait, permanently. Labor is unionized, skilled, and irreplaceable at scale. Even when no ship is at the berth, the fixed cost runs. DP World posted $20 billion in revenue in 2024 against an adjusted EBITDA margin of 27.2%, a strong margin, and one that assumes the ships keep arriving. When they stop, the steel still depreciates, the dredger still bills, and the crane operator still clocks in. The stress case isn't a slow quarter. It's an empty channel you're still paying to keep deep. Now the shadow file. The date is what matters. The 10th of February, 2006. That day, DP World, owned outright by the government of Dubai, finalized the purchase of P&O, the British firm, for $6.8 billion. Buried in the deal were the operating concessions for terminals at 6 major U.S. ports, among them New York and New Jersey and Baltimore. The transaction had already been cleared by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. It was, on paper, a shipping deal. It ran in the business pages. Then people did the arithmetic on what a terminal concession actually is. Not a logistics contract, control of the choke point. On the 8th of March 2006, the House Appropriations Committee voted 62-2 to block the transfer. The president threatened to veto the block. The next day, March 9th, DP World announced it would divest the American terminals entirely. A foreign company owning the toll booth on U.S. trade was, it turned out, a national security event. The panic itself was the confession. Nobody panics about a parking operator. They panic about who holds the gate. Which is how these businesses die, and there are two ways. The threat from inside is the yard itself, labor and automation. A modern terminal wants to run its cranes remotely from a control room 100 kilometers away, the way Shanghai's Yangshan Phase 4 already does. The dock workers, who cannot be replaced at scale, are also the people standing between you and that margin. The fights over automation are not culture. They are a direct dispute over who keeps the spread on every box. The threat from outside is worse, because it's the same feature that makes the port valuable. It's a choke point the state considers strategic. What can be regulated can be capped. What can be seized can be nationalized. DP World learned in 9 days in 2006 that a 50-year concession is only as durable as the government's willingness to let a foreigner hold the gate. The moat is the target. So here is the real product. A container port is not infrastructure that moves goods. It's a privately operated toll booth bolted across a strait that a $200 million ship physically cannot go around, and the fee is rent on the exact hours that ship is helpless. The official product is logistics. The real one is the removal of the customer's only alternative. This is not a niche opinion. Global container throughput crossed 900 million TEUs in 2024. Shanghai alone moved 51.5 million. Singapore, 41.1 million. The buyers are sovereign wealth funds, state operators, and infrastructure giants PSA, DP World, and the rest competing for the same thing everywhere, not the cargo, the gate. Time to pull it all together and answer the actual question: how much money do you make if you do this right? Let's run the math on 3 realistic versions of your future port. Option 1. Build a new port from scratch. You face extreme capital expenditure. A deepwater container terminal runs into the billions before it lifts a single box, plus a decade or more of environmental permitting and immense political risk. You may finish and find the trade lane has moved. High cost, long fuse, uncertain gate. Option 2. Buy a minority stake in a public port authority. Low risk, stable, respectable, and capped. You are writing municipal bond level returns, low single digits, because a public authority is structured to break even for the economy, not to extract from it. You've bought the concrete and left the toll booth to someone else. Option 3. Acquire a 50-year terminal operating agreement on an established choke point. You pay roughly $2 billion up front for the concession. You lock in the shipping lines that have nowhere else to berth. You extract about $300 million in pure free cash flow every year from lifting, from dockage, from the box that sits. Full return on investment in under 10 years. And you own 0 actual land. Not bad for a business that gets to charge the sea for the right to stop.